Can't hear you if you're talking, Clay. Give us just a minute. We'll get this figured out. Thank you for being patient.
All right, take two.
Take two worked. The man of the hour.
Cool.
All right. Well, it's been a couple minutes since the 30-minute mark, so I think we can probably go ahead and get started. I got
Yeah,
the
sounds
record.
good.
And you said you don't have a deck or anything to go through today, right?
Nope. This is just fireside chat. So essentially just interacting with chat and answering questions as they come up. We'll go for about an hour, and let me just double check my schedule today. I think I have a hard stop at 10:30. I do, so I will have to end on time. I can't go over today. But yeah, basically whatever chat wants to talk about. I'll start with Ubershade. Challenges have been nerfed to challenge 2 rewards, making it impossible to craft T7. TLDR is we're aware. Essentially, the adventure rework is something we had planned with MindLoader, but we weren't expecting it until a little bit later. Wasn't aligned to go out with Frostmire. We hadn't had a chance to test it. Um, and it needs some work. So we're working with MindLoader right now, essentially to address this. Fully aware, on top of it, and I don't know if changes will make it in for tomorrow. We've got to do some testing later today on the most current test build. But yeah, it's not where it needs to be. Absolutely. So, okay, Mythic Chef. I need more than that. Uh, I, I hear the feeling. So, what I'm hearing is for you, at least, uh, you don't see advanced crafting materials as necessary. I guess I'm hearing the opposite from other people. Um, uh, I tell you what, Chef, I'll take a note. Got my handy notebook along this time for things like this. I'll look at the data. The last time I looked at the data, you're an anomaly, not the standard, and can't necessarily design a system for the anomalies. Um, uh, I okay. Like I said, I'll go dig into the data. but I'm not seeing in the data that we've got people with tens of thousands of crafting chests by the whole. I hear the feedback that crafting materials for pets doesn't feel good to you. Um, I'll take it back to the team. I'm not sure it's going to change though. I'm just taking a note. Give me a second. Yeah, you hear the feedback, Chef, and got a note and can't answer it right now because I'll have to dig into it. Um, if you've got a suggestion, definitely drop it into the chat for what you'd like to see. That'll help me guide the team as well in the discussion after we dig into it. Gonna take another question, but the other thing we should dig into is adventure mode, exactly what your feedback is there. Ibro, gameplay is too scripted at the moment. Every day is one endless, one guild boss, four boss rush, etc. I'm lacking freedom of play here as a player, decide where I want to spend my time, what type of RSS to grind, etc. Any plans to open this up a little more? Yeah, this is pretty in line with my thinking on play. Some of what the special events have been playing with is rather than having sort of like the daily reset of energy, having basically an event amount of energy that you can both start with and purchase. And like the next thing that is probably going to change will be endless. I'm not going to say that it will be exactly like the special events, but some of what I would love endless to be is more, hey, if you've got time on the weekend, yeah, you can grind out your endless for the week. I don't like the fact that if you miss one day of endless, you're kind of out of it, and like life happens. You can't necessarily play every day, so trying to find a little bit more flexibility in the mix, I think would be good. This is one of those things that's tricky with mobile because you also want people to engage as daily as possible. All of the research shows that if people have longer and longer gaps between gameplay, they're more likely just to drop out overall. But I think it's a balancing act, and I think right now, you're right. It's a little bit too, I wouldn't say scripted, um, but I think the way that I look at it is um, it's more time demanding, where to maximize, you have to basically grind out the same stuff consistently. So yeah, definitely looking to open it up a little bit more. Won't happen all at once, but over time. Moonlight. With some mythic guilds having significantly more members than others, how can you ensure fair competition if they introduce gilded events? What balancing mechanics could be implemented to prevent larger guilds from having an overwhelming advantage over smaller or lower tier guilds, ensuring a more level playing field for all participants? Um, this is a hard one. I mean, this has been something that I've talked about in the past of like the struggle with the guild system. Like from the original design with just the guild members being the biggest differentiator between the different tiers of guilds. Like it introduces a really challenging problem to solve. Because yeah, more guild members equals more advantages. I mean, there's ways that we can sort of artificially solve for this, where you could make it like the top 20 scores in a guild if you're doing, a gilded event, rather than just like the sum total of all the guild members. There are things that you can play with, but some of the thing is, it's like it's by design in the original white paper that um, the rarer guilds just have an inherent advantage because if you've got more guild members, you can farm more resources either from donations or um, from guild boss fights, etc. And it's a challenge, and it's one of those where you know how do we solve that without taking advantage or taking away some of what the Mythic Guild token holders paid for. Definitely happy to hear suggestions from the community. It's one of the things that, when we talk about governance, may need like governance level votes to make changes along the lines to truly solve this. But like right now, like point blank, Mythic guilds have an unfair advantage over the other guild types. And obviously, Mythic guilds with the most members have the biggest advantages. Um, Yeah, Uber Shade, the last special event has been quite horrible. The level of RNG on the boss makes it no fun to just reset 1,000 times. Um, yeah, I hear the feedback. It's been one of the things that I know I've been looking at too. Like the goal um, of RNG is not to have resetting be the solve. Um, some of the way we could address this is having the RNG be less RNG. It's more RNG for the run. So like, great, go ahead and reset it, but it's going to be the same RNG you had the previous thing. You can still adjust when you play your skills. That might change the outcome a little bit, but resetting 1,000 times to get a specific RNG out, like what wasn't the purpose of the ability to sort of reset? Like, it was more designed as protection for anybody who loses internet connection, which is common on mobile. It's something that we need to take a deeper look at because like where we've reached in sort of competitive play, that the way to stand out is to reset a whole bunch of times is not the desired outcome. I don't have a solve for it at the moment. Like some people have reached out with suggestions on that front in terms of like max number of resets, things like that. I don't have a preferred solve, but like the things that I know is like, yes, we could limit the number of resets before like that you just can't. That leads to its own problems. I think we could make the RNG a little less RNG so that the desire to reset doesn't exist as much. Uh, Removing the RNG altogether um, is is possible, but also quite challenging. Yeah, curious to see what people think. I might have to end up skipping ahead as I go through here, but I'm just going to take things one at a time as I go, which means the conversation is going to thread a little bit weirdly.
And I'll try to help call out specific ones. But it is kind of hard. You kind of get lost in a lot of the conversation around here too. So I'll try to help you there.
I think some of it for Mythic is like some of like adventure mode was designed to get to that. It's like you play through adventure mode, you've done your grind, and now like adventure mode exists to essentially spend your adventure energy, quickly get the resources that you want from whatever stage you're farming. I think this latest iteration of it, some of the move is to get more specific resources in uh, dungeons to allow more targeting. I don't think we're quite where it needs to be yet, but it isn't supposed to be something that you have to grind once you have completed it. Um, when will we be able to combine mat chests in inventory so could take out instantly tier 6, 7 mats instead of tier 2, 3, and then it would mean less going back and forth between backpack and inventory. Um, it's a good call out. I don't know how we would do the combine off the top of my head. Actually, no, I can see that we're working. Just essentially add another button into the mix. Um, I think some of it too is one of the things that we've talked about with MindLoader is not completely happy with the factory system and potentially having factories be more consumable. So in that case, like when you have the mat chests, create a generator potentially um, that kicks out the mats, and then if you could combine the generators on the board, sort of combine the generator up to a tier 6, 7 mat generator, it has a certain number of charges that get consumed to kick things out, could also work. Um, it's a good challenge. Like I've definitely had it too. It's like definitely frustrating to like kick back and forth when you're just dumping mats onto the board, combining and sort of rinse repeat. Being able to open up the chests on the crafting board could also help. Uh, yeah, let me taking a note. Gonna take a second. Nico, fill the space, song and dance.
Oh no, my mic's broken.
Wait a second.
Yeah, the mat chest is something that comes up pretty regularly in Discord, especially around like the cooldown timer on it too. But if you're talking like a whole potential, new concept for there, then maybe it's better to address the main issue instead of band-aids, right?
Yeah, like combining them in inventory should be possible up into sort of like higher tiers of chests. I'll talk to the design team about it and we'll see what we get. Cut leaderboard rewards in half and distribute them every week instead of missing one thing in the month and be balls in the leaderboard. I mean, that's not what the leaderboards are designed for. They're not designed for short-term engagement. They're designed to reward long-term engagement. They are a long-term retention mechanic. And right now, like Web3 is Web3. It takes a lot of manual overhead to process the results. Every time that we're processing the results, we're also going through uh, looking at bots and ban lists. It's an interesting suggestion, but it comes at a high cost. It's not where I would go first in terms of like adjusting how the leaderboard rewards work, um, especially not every week. Every 2 weeks, maybe something we could experiment with, but every week the amount of overhead just gets too high right now, at least where we're at. Limited resets per ticket event. Make events less time demanding to rank even top 100 leaderboard. If we want, we can start in a small cost, like some gems, 1 to 3 times max. I hear the suggestion. It's an interesting one. Uh, I'm definitely open to uh, trying that. Taking a note. It's definitely something that I thought of.
Yeah, another suggestion that comes up frequently in that regard is just fewer total tickets per event, so you're not trying to get through 20 of them total in a given period of time.
Yeah, I think it's a balance. Like the original event had way more tickets. Uh, just of time, yeah, versus resets. Uh, Curious, just more general feedback on how many tickets like people think should be in a special event. Oh, sorry. How to make endless super fun, introduce dread powers like boss rush, make 50 of the things, ones that add to score and buff enemies, and ones that detract from score and buff you. This would allow many new hero combinations of all sorts and open up gameplay to everyone. It would make Endless interesting again. This would allow randomization in score to occur, and you could make Endless rooms scripted so that many people don't get screwed because some got 100 bosses and they got 3. I understand that RNG is needed in Endless, and this would allow it. You can go further and introduce red powers everywhere. Such a good system idea. Use it everywhere, and it will fix your need for RNG and things, and improve the game quality, and make heroes no longer necessarily best in slot. I think it's a really interesting suggestion. It's one of those, like, reading it, I'm like, why haven't we done that yet? I will definitely bring this one up in the next design call, because it's probably something we could do relatively easy. I think, yeah, that was supposed to be like some of the modifiers on Endless were supposed to do that for everyone, but getting a second set is interesting. It does also add a ton of complication to testing. And I think my worry about it is, you find the one sort of broken combination, and everyone's like, they found a broken combination, it's unfair. But it's, yeah, like, choose your own adventure is always strong. Uh, to add into the mix. Sorry, just writing hard to talk and write at the same time. Make it like boss rush, no pause, no replay. I'm not quite sure I understand the comment.
That was in reference to the topic earlier, about I think it was about the event. Instead of having
Gotcha.
to pause to try to get in this event, for instance, the trick is to try to get the boss to freeze right when he's doing his ultimate. You kind of reset over and over to try to get that to happen.
Gotcha. Any guild member should be allowed to spend gems for the guild boss buff. We've literally just yesterday talked again with Mindloader about inspiration, and they're looking at solves on their end. Other side of this, though, is tricky. Like, you let anybody spend, like, then do they reset like the good buffs? Like, what does that mean? I don't think it just solves it to let anyone spend gems. Maybe send gems to the guild leader. Yes. When will we be able to combine match chests? Oh, we already did that one. Removing RNG, you're going to kill the game. Yeah, like, we can't completely remove RNG. Like, it's just built into the systems, but you can tame it to some extent. Why wasn't there new toolboxes to merge for T7 crafting boxes? Just need more toolboxes to merge for a higher tier. Everyone was surprised not to see them. Yeah, this is a little bit of a tricky one. We've got a problem in the carryover from RTL in that crafting boxes or crafting factories were available, and there are a few people who have more. Because of the energy system, it doesn't mean that in any given day that they can get more resources at the moment. But if we just allowed merging at the moment, they would be able to merge up more than everybody else. This is also why we're looking at, like, how the factories work. Just having sort of like the factories be forever is simple, but I don't think it's necessarily the best. Factories are more dynamic if factories could wear out, if factories are things that you're targeting an adventure to go get, the strength or int factories to merge together to get back up to tier 7 because your old ones broke. I think there's more that we can do in the mix with factories, but definitely see the problem. We agree that's something that we want to do more for. The current sort of like rate of T7 gear is not good. We're all aligned on that. hear it on the RNG and dodge rate still. The latest banner prayer sale was a lot more successful this round. What do you attribute this banner success? When Barons, can we have friendly PvP to test? Current testing lacks artifacts and hero-specific items. I think some of it with Dolver and Liska is, we did a much deeper dive on the math of the prayers. So even if you're not getting a Delver and Liska, we were looking at where the market was at, and we wanted to make sure it felt good. I think with both Tamamo and JD, there were plenty of people who opened up prayers, and it just felt bad. Um, I don't think I don't know if that is solely it, but I think what that led to is people do math. They did math on the prayers, on the reward tables, and they're like, it just makes sense to buy them. So I think it led to the quick sellout overall of, one, the math was there, so a lot of people bought quickly, and as people bought quickly, the FOMO kicks in. So people are like, oh, I better get on this. I think it sold out faster than we expected. 4.5 hours was pretty quick. I was thinking it was going to be more 24 to 48. But we definitely learned a lot, stuff that we carry forward too. I think the other thing that's good about a sellout is it starts building sort of like, I guess, momentum. If we've got Dover and Liska as a part of the next sale, as part of the prize tables, the fact that they sold out means that there's more sort of like secondary benefits if you're not getting the primary characters. Um, Definitely a step along the way where we're gonna keep tuning to try and find the right balance. Um, I think in general, moving forward though, we are going to aim for sellouts, which is that's something in Web3, like scarcity is important. And with the way GOG is uh, built, I think it works. When Barons, sometime next year. Can't tell you the exact date at the moment. Next full town hall, hopefully we'll have a better idea of when that'll come online. Can we have friendly PvP to test? Current testing lacks artifacts and hero-specific items. Possibly. I think the thing that's interesting about like friendly PvP to test, maybe thinking of it more like a challenge mode where it's friendly in the sense that it doesn't cost tickets, but like that opens up the possibility for outside competitions basically around PvP. So definitely something to look into. Da, 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 da. Yeah, like I think um, in terms of like T7, T8 crafting rates and everything, um, we agree something needs to give. We'll figure out what it is. Let us increase energy limit caps with gems and backpack size. This is something that I've asked the MindLoader team to look at again, particularly with like the guild powers coming online. You want to have a long enough gap so people can sleep. But right now there isn't enough time for people to get a full night's rest without losing some energy in the mix, particularly on the crafting side. I think I still want to look at energy tokens being the source of some of the buffs first, rather than just going to like spending rubies to increase energy limit caps. Could we go down that way? We definitely could, if there's much broader support for that. I think energy tokens still need love, so putting it there first makes sense. Happy to hear more in the discussion. Wow, I'm really scrolled behind. Uh, I'm just going to sort of speed ahead until we get to new topics. create a guild bank in terms of like the add gems to the guild inventory for players to add to it, and only the guild leader or vice president can use the gems for reset. That's an interesting solve to it. I'm gonna take a note on that one. I thought at first, I'm like, yeah, we can't do it if they can take it out, but like if there was a guild bank, like the trick though, so some of it is like full yes, that would solve it if everyone's good actors. But essentially, what having a guild bank then does is it encourages people to spin up new accounts, get through the tutorial, because the game is designed to give you a ton of gems up front. Transfer those gems in, delete the account, rinse, repeat to sort of solve it. Doesn't actually help. It solves this, but doesn't actually help the Ruby economy in terms of syncs and inputs. I know there's been actually a fair amount of feedback on sort of like syncs and inputs. We've done a really deep dive into where rubies are going. What we're finding is for anybody like in the very top, like 500 of the leaderboard, there's a net constant gain of rubies across the ecosystem. And like this is actual like in accounts when we see from rewards and spend, like rubies are just accruing. So we do need more syncs in the mix overall. Guild bank is an interesting idea though, but it's very abusable with the way the game is designed right now. But yeah, like to that, definitely looking at increasing the caps, either through energy tokens or other means. Guild chat is currently in active development. Mindler started on it yesterday. In fact, I expect we're going to be able to test it at the beginning of November internally, depending on where it's at. Sometime in November is the most likely time for Guild chat. We need new players to be able to catch up and compete, but we need it to not invalidate others' hard work and time. Solution, have a set point. Maybe once a player completes a certain amount of adventures where Leah shows up and says, Commander, the Dread have grown too powerful. The Well has empowered you. We need you to in the fight or whatever. And then they level up to Commander level 80, increases his top player increase. That still gives them a quantifiable benefit to being in the game earlier, but allows for new players to then buy heroes and get in the game. This allows new blood in. We need this to bring them up to snuff. You can't compete at all if you're less than Commander level 80. Also great for us older players because then we actually have people who want our Guardians. Totally aligned with the problem. We see it too of like the gap between people who started early and those who are catching up is there. We've got multiple potential solves on this front. One that we have talked about in the last town hall was with potions. It's a place where I'd like to explore. Other means, yes, like just general like catch-up mechanics where once you reach a certain point in the story, I don't think we would just jump people to level 80 in commander level because there's so many other things that are necessary for like commander level 80 to matter. Just XP scrolls, gold, wisdom scrolls. Like there's a whole lot of things necessary. Crafting materials. Like you would almost have to like dump them with a whole bunch of like gear and everything for that jump truly to take them that far ahead. And I don't know that that's the right solve. But like things that multiply their ability to catch up across all of those elements are definitely in the works. It's stuff that we're digging into deeply with Mindler's design team on like what we can do to let people catch up. I think that is another element of it. I solo. When it comes to like new players, like getting them fully caught up is one way to help them compete. Something that like I'm looking at is some of that sort of like sealed concept where it's a place where everyone is generally on equal footing. Like the special events to an extent are like that. But the special events are, a pretty major commitment of time, with the resets, like an insane commitment of time for people who are trying to compete at the very top. And like one of the things that I love in competitive games are sort of like, yeah, those in outdone sort of like special events. So like, if you could spend 1,000 rubies to enter an event, you've got maybe a sealed pool of guardians that you open up. Let's say it's a PvP event. You need to form 3 different teams with your sealed guardians. Equipment could be coming out of the mix too. And it's like, yeah, optimize your 3 teams, go have fights, and then pretty quickly you can have the reward payout depending on how you did. Things like that, I think, help new players quite a lot in terms of competing. Something I would love to do. A fair amount of like that is not in active design or development right now, but it's something that's I would say it's at what we call the PRD stage, where you're setting like the high level requirements for a system like that. But having those sort of like events that let you feel like what top end competition is and let you compete evenly, I think are important. Draft events where you've got a group of players at a table, each picking guardians. Like there's some interesting possibility on that front for sure. Will this week's leaderboard count towards monthly rewards? I don't know right now. It's something that we're working through with the community and the design team. I think so. There, because of the issues with the bugged artifact, I'm not certain. We may need to look at some normalizing of the scores too, but it's something that we're looking at. We just don't have the final call on it. Tomahawk. Some of us guild owners are doing our share to expand GOG and onboard players, but I think GOG might need to review their model to onboard more gamers that will stay. I think the key is really about support, empowering, incentivizing guild owners, that we are the ones working their asses off to bring in new members and educate them on so much that they would have zero clue about if they simply download the game and play and join a random guild. No way to communicate directly with in-game players, the whole process even harder. Hoping you can improve on that aspect. There is so much potentially to grow this game organically by empowering, incentivizing guild owners versus making it harder to recruit players, especially for smaller guilds. Absolutely hear you on that front. Guild chat will be one of those things. Obviously, global chat helps that even more because you can talk to new players, recruit them in. Once we've got guild chat in the mix, doing a global chat is more possible. My biggest worry about global chat is it is a blockchain game, and the level of risk with global chat and new players who don't understand the systems is real. Our ability to 24/7 monitor that, or even have AI monitor that to eliminate scams and whatnot, is tricky. Some of that could come down to whitelisting. Maybe. Oh God. It's scary though. I think global chat, then you're right, does make it easier. But I've got fears on that front. Maybe they're unfounded. Happy to catch up on that, see where people are thinking. But I definitely do agree that like guilds are an important part of where we go from here in terms of guild membership has a huge impact on player retention. I think guilds, in terms of guild support of new players and allowing people to catch up, is an important component in the mix. Empowering, incentivizing guild owners. I hear it and want to do it. And more of like, what are the specific things in game and out of game that would help the most? I hear you. See, we're still going a little bit on guild boss buff. Want to make that better. it is not doing what the system had originally intended right now. Yeah, new player leaderboard is something we talked a little bit on the last town hall. I'm not opposed to it, but it does incentivize um, basically people to sort of restart accounts to compete on it. Need to solve that problem for it, which is tricky. So like purely Web 2 rookie leaderboards, probably more plausible. Um, here, I've seen it a little bit. Just gonna take a little quick note on it, but like a PvP special event. Um, I'm hearing the call for it. I would love to know more about what you're thinking. Um, one of the things I would like to see in PvP is a sort of like multi-squad approach. We have been like working on making sure that people can have multiple, uh, more than just the 5 leveled guardians with more XP in the mix. We're not quite there yet to have multiple teams unless the event itself just sort of like set a standardized level. Level gear. Yeah, curious about the parameters of a PV special event that people are thinking on. Definitely plausible. Um, non-core Guardian special events, including launch promos, should be sourced from players, not given free by the game. Giving Jaden free in the special event kills my market for all the overpriced JD players I purchased. Can't rent or sell JD if you keep giving her out for free in special events where she has more utility. I see your thought process. Some of it is if a player never plays a JD, sorry, they're just not going to be interested in it at all. That's just not how it works. So like having JD available in special events gives players a taste. If they've really enjoyed using them in that special event, more likely go to the marketplace so they can use them in things like Endless on Boss Rush and beyond. Um, Limiting like Dolvar and Liska in the special events, I don't think leads to people going and buying them. Maybe we can run experiments. We can see like if there's like more or less market demand when they're missing. Um, but I don't think it's actually going to do what you think it's going to do. Um, but yeah, we could experiment. Our guild wars in the works. Would love guild-wide PvP. Not at the moment. It's one of the things sort of like on the potential extended roadmap of things that we would love to see, but not in active development right now. Big things we're working on are pets and crafting at the moment, with guild chat being a minor thing. Domain tower fight, 10 stages with only one domain. Whoop whoop. Plausible, definitely plausible. It's something that we've been discussing with my leader. On the topic of PvP, all we do at the top ranks is fight bots because losses hurt your score and you don't want to give people revenges. Solution PvP should be randomized MMR by rating system. You spin the wheel, you get an opponent, and you fight them. You don't get to see who it is, but you can see their heroes and arrange your currently selected team accordingly. If you win, you get points, whether on defense or offense. This is why we have to hide names so people don't abuse it. Um, hmm. I'm not fighting at the very top. I didn't realize people were just fighting bots. So it's really good feedback. Curious to read what people think about like hiding the names. Just taking some notes. Yeah, I feel like at this point, removing the bots might be the best solution. But I hear what you're saying about um, you can't remove bots as is. You will just have someone using 15 tickets beating someone down. Uh, Yeah, like I hear it, Big Louie. That's right until somebody like loses all of their NFTs because of global chat. Like it's one of the things that like love it and hate it about the immutability of the blockchain. Like when people get scammed, like there's no takebacks. Um, my experience without like constant active moderation, like it's going to be a problem. It's not possible, but then um, like it's one of those things that getting a global chat in is relatively easy. Getting a global chat in with all of the right filters and with the ability for mods to quickly respond, with players to report, all of that infrastructure takes a lot more time. And there's a lot of it we would need to get it to go right. Hearing people thinking if we remove bots, that it'll just lead to the one guild dominating, unless we remove names so that guild members are fighting each other.
Just want to call out, we have 13 minutes left, and there's still kind of a steady stream of questions coming in. So if you guys have any that other people have asked that you especially want to hear an answer to, just throw like a heart emoji or something on it, and then Clay can kind of quickly move through ones that have tons of emojis that show that you guys really want to hear an answer to that one, just in case we don't have time to get to everything.
Yeah, I'm seeing I'm about 3 minutes behind, so seeing the discussion. Yeah, I mean we've had multiple Discord attacks that have led to people getting scammed out of tens of thousands of dollars. That in those cases, like we ended up making players whole, and like it's not nothing. And you're adding in a new avenue for that is worrisome. When ancient artifacts, um, can you go more into ancient artifacts and what you're looking for there? I actually love the imposters at the guild tag to be like, "Don't come at me, bro." So in the last town hall, we talked about the NFT artifacts basically have been replaced by the essence crafting for the moment. Ultimately, this actually harkens back to just what we were talking about earlier in the chat about the insurmountable advantage of the Mythic Guild when it comes to the ancient artifacts. In that system, like we had it in place. We gamed the system out among all the hardcore gamers in, and it clearly just led to the top guilds just retaining the artifacts for themselves, because it just makes sense. Because if you never let the top artifacts go out into the ecosystem, nobody else can compete. I'm not saying that we're not going to do them, but they have a core problem with the current design that we don't have a solve for in the context of mythic guilds in the ecosystem. I'm not saying that we're not going to do them, but they're going to come. They would come further down in the roadmap, definitely after the essences come through. We need the ability to strip a piece of equipment without salvaging it so that we can build different sets. With the gold bottleneck, it's tough to get creative with team makeup because a Guardian has to match my existing gear sets. I hear it. I've definitely felt it myself. Taking a note. Um, Anything to buff tank warrior HP survivability? Do they melt too easy in the current formats? Um, I mean, happy to take feedback on this. I don't think we're looking at that right now. With the sort of like internal balancing, I think they're in an okay place. I wouldn't say they're crazy OP or anything, but like I know playing with Dolver, like he's pretty damn tanky. Um, Defensive stats feel useless. Taking some notes on balance. So yeah, I'll talk to the design team on the HP front versus def. Maybe I'm screwing this up because I'm still focused on def. I think Harcook is definitely the strongest. Um, Ubershade, can you tell me more about Guardian gear? Badly need to switch levels there. So is this sort of like being able to reset Guardian gear? Hey Bobo, hear you on the Guardian gear. Just taking a note on the Guardian gear. That you do. Yeah, I need to dive into like this is something that we've brought up with the MindLoader design team multiple times, and it like my Mandarin is improving, but it's still not fantastic, and we must be losing something in translation. 'Cause I haven't quite understood the logic behind not having them available all the time. Um, from ISO, one of the previous articles mentioned consideration to dividends for founder guardians. Is this still on the table discussed, even building into pledging interface? I'm not exactly sure what you're referring to. If you could delve into a little bit more detail or send me a link. So I'm not quite sure uh, what the dividends would be. Yeah. Yeah, and tanks just get damage reduction, period. Yeah, no, thank you for all the posts. No worries about it. I'll definitely take the feedback on tanks feeling. Go dive into use stat on them as well. If I remember correctly, like I don't know when that was from. Like there was a period of time where you could stake NFTs, so to speak. But nothing in the plans at the moment on that front. Mythic, are pets still going to be merged together for higher tier? A previous town hall slide showed Chasmus as a warrior. Is there skins for pets? I do not believe we have skins for pets. And I don't have plans at the moment for merging the pets. But it is something that we could possibly do in the altar. Oh, wait a second. Are you talking about enlightenment for pets? Then once Pets V2 comes out, yes, there's likely going to be an enlightenment system for pets, but not in Pets V1. Will we ever get power associated cosmetics? It could bring a whole set of layers of syncs to heroes. We had tried this, and there was a massive backlash in the community. So not inclined to try again. To combine sort of like power and cosmetics. So this would be like, champions have additional power. We had gone down that path, and yeah, I think generally, particularly at this stage, the danger there would be huge. Definitely understand how Kirkhook's invulnerability is making tanks feel bad. Yeah, definitely hearing the feedback on tanks and damage reduction. Please know, Enlightened System is the worst part of this game. That is an interesting thought on in terms of like arena. What would happen if we did a week of arena where basically everyone starts with full ultimate energy, or like 75% ultimate energy or something like that? That could be a really interesting variation. Take a note on that.
We are at the hour mark, so if you guys have any other burning questions, maybe Clay, you have time for one last, unless you got to run.
Actually, I need to go pop over into my other meeting. Thanks so much for everyone for showing up. Thank you so much for all the questions. I will definitely look to chat with you more in the future. Have a great day.
Awesome. Thank you, Clay. And for any of you that Clay took some extensive notes down in any of your suggestions, if you guys just want to send me any of those, like Tomahawk, I think you had something, Uber Shade. If you guys want to DM me the full details around that, I'll make sure Clay gets it, or send it to him if you have a chat going with him. Make sure that
Of
all
course,
that's passed along.
there's a 5-minute delay, so I'm like, okay, maybe I'll come back and take one more question.
Encore. All right. One more question. Make it good, guys.
Just looking through. Definitely hear the radiance feedback. I feel it too. What is the meaning of life? I actually have an answer for this one, for me at least. And my meaning in life is stories. Um, Essentially, you go through your whole life acquiring stories. And, when you meet new people, what do? You share your stories. So, uh, building out your stories, being a part of other people's stories, for me, the meaning of life is stories. Because guess what? When you're gone, the stories are what will live on in the people that you've met and, and the legacy you've left behind. Uh, I guess last question will be, why is there a cap on those sales events? Um, yeah, 42. I knew somebody was going to say that. Why is there a cap on those sales events? I assume this is referencing like Dover and Liska. It is partly like why they work. If you have an uncapped supply of NFTs, typically the value of those NFTs is going to go down. If you have a limited supply of them, overall like supply and demand lead to higher value. So yeah, the caps help the events sell because players know that there's not going to be an unlimited amount of them out in the ecosystem. And yeah, like people aren't going to buy them on the secondary if they can just buy them from us. Cool. All right. Thank you again. Sorry for the weird encore. Now off. Take care. Bye-bye.
Goodbye for real this time. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for joining us. I'll be sure to post the recording of this up on YouTube. I'll make an announcement when that goes live, and then stay tuned for when our next official town hall is. As I was saying before, send me any of the details of those further descriptions for those ideas that any of you guys had that Clay was noting down. All right. Thanks, everyone. See you in chat.